from Washington. Rich, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby. Greetings from Washington State.
Great. Glad to hear from you. I presume you're listening there. You're in Moses Lake. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
KBSN.
KBSN, yeah.
Absolutely.
About, 50 years or so. I'm sure they've had you your full 20 years. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. What can I do for you?
Hey, I've got a 67 Mustang, 289, and the winters up here get kind of harsh, so I store it for probably about 5 months or so, and wondering what I could do to winterize it, and then if you had any other tips throughout the winter when it's sitting, what I could do. I can't really take it in and out very much to drive it in the winter, so it's pretty much sitting there. I can start it, but if you had any tips on keeping her in good shape until we can get it back out in the spring again.
Well, number one, you always store any mechanical engine, any internal combustion engine with a new batch of oil and filter.
Okay.
You must have that because what happens, moisture sets in, and moisture mixes with other corrosive parts in the oil and oxidizes and will form. You know how when you really clean your car and you're drying it down, this is like in summertime now, you clean your car and you see the brake rotors rust as you clean your car. I mean, I do that every time I finish cleaning my car. I will back out of the driveway and pull up 3 or 4 times. I think my neighbor said, well, the guy crazy or something, but that's just to wipe off the rust on the surface before it etches the rotors and then causes squealing and what have you. So you'll want to make sure that the car's cleaned and washed. I would wax it. Is this car inside or out?
It's outside during the summer, and then it's strictly inside for about 4 months.
I would cover the automobile, and because it's outside, I use from the Blocket fabric made by Kimberly-Clark. I use the dust stop for all my cars because my cars are inside. For your car, if it's going to be both, then how about the winter, the outside time? Is that a wetter than normal? What's the weather like there in Moses Lake?
Well, we can get down to freezing. But it's mostly a wet winter. There's times we could get a foot of snow and it stays for a couple months. You
want to choose probably the Evolution, and you can go to. You got a pen?
You bet.
Okay, blocketcovers.com.
Okay.
Just go to blocketcovers.com, and then you can take a quick course on exactly which cover is best suited for your needs. And I think it's more important to have the cover for the outside in the weather than it is to buy one that's suited for the inside. We're talking about a car that's been washed, it's been waxed. You need to make sure that it has a coat of wax on it, so that there's no oxidation around the bumpers, because it's a 67 model car, it's your prized possession.
That's right.
Oil and filter, coolant that's fresh. You disconnect the battery, I presume.
Okay.
Negative. I mean, do you do this?
I haven't before.
I would, because there's a clock in the car, and the clock teases the battery every 20 minutes. Even though it just one little strike, and then it winds, and then it runs down, and it strikes, and it winds. And that's what old clocks do. So I would definitely disconnect the battery. The negative side only, it's okay to leave the battery in the car as long as you fold the negative battery cable so that as you close the hood and you think you're all set, you know how cables have a fixed memory, as any wire has. If you take it loose and just lift it up and pull it away, it could ease and find its way back and relax its way back to the terminal. You see where I'm going?
You bet, yeah.
So disconnect, tuck it down, and make sure that you disconnect the negative only.
Okay.
Let's see what else. Stable in the gas tank, absolutely. There's a product called Stay-Bil. You've probably heard of that.
I have.
It's good for a year when properly mixed, and on the can, the directions, fancy that as a guy we would follow directions, but we can, and I have occasionally. And so you Stay-Bil in the gas. You want to make sure that, because this is a carbureted car, that you've added the Stay-Bil at least 5 or 10 miles and drive the car before you park it, because you want that stabilized gasoline to be in the carburetor, because the gasoline in the carburetor is not going to stay there for the whole time. So you might want to fire it. The challenge with firing the car every other month is that if you don't get it to bring it to operating temperature, then all you're doing is increasing the amount of moisture content in the engine.
Okay.
because you fire it and it doesn't get hot, it creates condensation that mixes with the oil. So it's kind of a you're darned if you do and darned if you don't. I would favor maybe firing the car off and just pull the cover up and fire the car off every 2 months.
Okay. And I do have one of the hoses that I can run outside the garage.
Well, obviously, I started to say open the garage door, but I don't want to insult your intelligence. Okay, then run the hose outside. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll put you to work here. Let's see. We got the engine. Nothing to do on the transmission except make sure that it has a fluid changed in the last 30,000 miles or a couple of years. Windows should be a couple of inches down, not up. I made the mistake, and I live in a humid area here. I made the mistake of restoring a Continental black with white upholstery, and I kept the windows up to keep the dust out, and kept the car covered, right?
Right.
But the interior, over a period of a couple of years' time, turned yellow from the humidity, and that's because the humidity got in the car and hovered and stayed. So you want to make sure the windows are a couple of inches down. And as far as parking outside, I don't think that should be any challenge. Maybe an inch down because of the allowance for rain and what have you. You make that call with regard to the outside. Other than that, tires, you check the tire pressure and make sure the tires are, and setting the tire setting for 6 months not going to hurt the tire any more than it would 1 month. There's a lot of myths here.
Right.
And that's about the most important parts that we have covered. Full tank of gas, fresh oil, stabilized fuel, air pressure, new oil, fire the car, keep it covered and have it waxed, and when you get ready, and there are some trickle chargers that you can leave on, but if you leave on a standard trickle charger, it will boil the water out of the battery and it can ruin the battery. So what I would do is, what I have is a unit that it has a floater. It's a floating, and it's a special charger that this company sent to me. It's made by Pulse Tech. Oh, I got it. Extreme. Write that down. And it's not EX, it's X, TREME. They created a lot of chargers for government work for out in the field where we have pieces of equipment that maybe fire rockets and do other things that we don't know about. And they have to be remotely controlled and they have to have a battery. And so they use a solar-powered unit that lets this Extreme charge the battery, and it has a floating device. It teases and checks the battery and charges as needed. Sort of a long call here, but Rich, thanks for your call. And folks, thanks for holding in there. I'll be back and take your call.